Hi, everybody. It's Eric Murray from the SugarHuddle.com. Well, much like Austin Powers, the Seattle Seahawks like to live dangerously. The Seahawks at home, Thursday night football against the Packers, they were favored by between 3.5 and 4.5 points, depending on which line you looked at, which website or casino or what have you looked at. But despite the fact that, the Packers have been kind of playing iffy offensively and their defense is also kind of shoddy, and even with some of Seattle's woes, they've still been pretty hot on offense. And you looked at it and you said, you know what, this feels like a pretty good opportunity for the Seahawks to get a big win, get back to 500. Seattle's really been a house of horrors for Green Bay in recent years, since the Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson era began, and this was yet another situation. You think about 2012, the Fail Mary game, 2014 NFC title game debacle, and you look at this, I can't say it's as devastating as those games, but this is still pretty tough for Green Bay because, I kind of assumed myself that they would lose probably between 7 to 10 points, and yet they were in full control of this game. I mean, they really dominated early on. They were up 14-3. They ended up regaining the lead right before half. And, scoreless third quarter, a lot of defense, a lot of punts. They led 24-20, 8.5 minutes left, 8:23 left. And then Seattle drives down. They take the lead with just over 5 minutes of play, go up 27-24. Green Bay goes 3 and out. They figure we still got a timeout. We still got almost 4.5 minutes. We can afford to give up one first down and then make a stop. The next, no more than one first down allowed, and then we can get the ball right back and drive downfield and tie or win it, as Aaron Rodgers, much like Russell Wilson, as we know, is fully capable of doing quite often. But, instead, Green Bay, they just gave this one right away. And, a lot of it is Seattle had a lot of self-inflicted wounds early on. Now, their defense didn't play great. Aaron Rodgers was very, very impressive in this game. Really looked a lot healthier and definitely bounced back quite a bit from, the previous couple of outings. But then again, they punted 4 of their last 5 possessions. So after a great first half, they really tailed off. He was sacked 5 times. The running game only gained 48 yards on 13 carries. Everybody was really starting to hype up their running game, but they're in control early on. Like I said, it was 14-3. Seattle fumbled their first play from scrimmage. Chris Carson, only his second career fumble on, I think it was his 161st career carry. He fumbles it right away. Green Bay scores quickly a few plays later. Russell Wilson, he was missing on a lot of throws early on. He missed Doug Baldwin in the end zone on 2 separate occasions, and eventually he got him, third time around. These were 2 separate possessions, by the way. And, he missed Tyler Lockett on another throw. I think he missed somebody else on another throw as well, but missed on a lot of throws. Offense just wasn't clicking, totally out of rhythm, totally out of sync. We've seen a lot of games over the years with Wilson and the Seahawks where they don't really do a whole lot for 3 quarters, and then suddenly they come out nowhere in the fourth quarter and win the game. And in some respects, it was kind of like this, kind of like that. They were running the ball really well the entire game, but they just took it to a whole another level in the fourth quarter, and Wilson himself really ramped it up on what turned out to be the game-winning drive. He had some pretty big connections on that drive. So you got to give Seattle a lot of credit, really both sides of the football. Defensively, like I said, they only allowed 48 yards. Green Bay, curiously, only attempted 13 carries, despite the fact that they led for most of the game. The Seahawks defense held Green Bay to 3 for 11 on third downs. Green Bay's offense only had the ball for a little over 25 minutes. Like I said, they had all those punts in the second half, so they were really stopped dead in their tracks. They allowed 5 sacks. Seattle allowed 3. But a lot of people thought, as cliche as it sounds, establishing the run would be the big thing. Well, the Seahawks, Russell Wilson, he got on track. He ended up with like 225 yards, but it was all about running the football. They had 173 rushing yards. Number 1 rushing offense in the league, going against the league's number 1 yards per attempt team. And clearly the Seahawks won out because they run the ball a lot more, and that's exactly what they did in this one. So you got to give them a lot of credit, 173 yards. And, Chris Carson did a great job of bouncing back after fumbling it away early, had a touchdown, 83 yards. Rashad Petty on 46 yards on just 8 carries. Mike Davis, 26 on his 4 carries. So they really got it done on the ground, and they did exactly what they needed to do. Vintage Wilson down the stretch, Russ Dangerous, as they call him. And, Packers side of it, we know they have a shoddy defense. We know they have a shoddy secondary. Committed a couple penalties down the stretch that were tough. There was that catch on Seattle's field goal drive that cut it to 21-20. Was it a catch? Wasn't it? Originally, it was incompletion. Seattle challenges it, and they call it a catch. David Moore reception, where, by rule, you have to have full possession, 3 steps, and it looked like he might have lost possession before that 3rd step, that quote-unquote football move. But they actually won the replay, and that extended that drive, led to a field goal. But, yeah, I mean, it's just another demoralizing loss for the Packers, another game they've given away, and Seattle knows all about that because all 5 of their losses are by 1 possession, and this was looking like yet another one that was going to be a close but no cigar, and just huge for Seattle because, instead of being 4-6 and pretty much officially eliminated because, they'd have to essentially go on a 6-game winning streak, which stranger things have happened in this league, but, don't really want to bank on that per se. But now 5-5, got a couple extra days to prepare before they have to go to Carolina next week. So they got to be feeling better about themselves. Carolina themselves are coming off a tough loss. They're at Detroit this week, and there's the possibility, even though I expect them to beat Detroit, if they do lose to the Lions, next week they play the Seahawks. If they lose that game, the Seahawks, and all of a sudden you're talking about 2 teams with identical records. So, that would be a huge game with a lot of playoff implications. Even if Carolina wins against Detroit, it's going to be a huge game either way, but it's going to be especially a must-win for Carolina if they happen to lose Detroit. It's going to be a must-win for Seattle either way because Seattle's in a position where every week is almost like a playoff elimination. And Green Bay now 4-5-1. They're basically in the position that Seattle was coming into the game. But, all of a sudden they don't have some of these key tiebreakers as far as the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see how that tie comes into play. But remember, Green Bay also has a few extra days to prepare. But guess where they go next week? They're at Minnesota, the rematch of the tie that they had at Lambeau earlier in the year. And, Minnesota has gotten a lot better since that game. Green Bay really doesn't seem like they've gone anywhere. Looked like they improved in the running game and clearly just isn't going anywhere. So basically, to sum it all up, Mike McCarthy, a lot of people thought he should have gotten fired last year, maybe the year before. Remember Aaron Rodgers had the relax, RELEX, 2 years ago when they were 4-6. They won 8 in a row to get to the NFC title game, but this team is just like that team, so it's possible, but I don't know. They're 4-5-1, and they're going to have to do a whole hell of a lot between now and the end of the regular season to give themselves an opportunity, and definitely you're going to have to go on some amazing win streak just like that. But, Rodgers, even though he played well in this one, he's still been banged up the entire year, and again, the play calling, the strategizing, the decision-making, the defense just seems like it's just regressing. And so Mike McCarthy, yeah, he's on very thin ice, and even if they miraculously make the playoffs, barring a Super Bowl, I think he's out of there. So they're right on the cusp, and they too are living pretty dangerously right now. They're 0-5 on the road. So if they can establish a run, because again, I don't know why they only had 13 rushing attempts. If they can find a way to establish the run like they should have throughout this game, should have ran it like 25 times or 30 times. But if they can commit to running the ball, which it just doesn't seem like they want to do, then they can help out their defense more. Maybe they hang on to a game like this, but instead they're shooting themselves in the foot again. And for Seattle, they're a football team that, like I said, they're kind of living on the edge week to week, but this is what they've done in the past. Are they going to live too dangerously like last year when they finished 9-7, missed the playoffs? They're right on the cusp right now, but I definitely feel a lot better about them than Green Bay. We'll see how it holds up the rest of the way. Both teams still have some big challenges the rest of the way. But anyways, those are just some of my thoughts on the Thursday night game, the Seahawks win over the Packers. So please go to thesugarhuddle.com. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and also like my Facebook page, The Sugar Huddle. Thank you.